Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Asatasata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Channa Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवदीप धाम की श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की यमुना माई की श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की सामवेद भक्तवृंद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishna Goswaminiti Namne. Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Shuddhashti Nishtabem Tasya Vakyanuvadane. Well, good morning, Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Canto 3, Canto 3, Chapter 25, and it's titled The Glories of Devotional Service, and we are reading from text 38 this morning. Welcome also to our online Mayapur TV viewers and viewing on ISKCON Sydney YouTube as well as Facebook. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Na kari chinmat parasantarupe Nakshanti no me nimishole diheti Yesham aham priya atma sutascha Sakha Guru Shurtho Devyam Ishtam Nakari Chinmat Parashanta Rupe Nakshanti no me nimishole diheti Yeshamaham priyatma sutascha Shakha Guru Shurdho Devyam Ishtam Nakari Chinmat Parashanta Rupe Nakshanti no me nimishole diheti Yeshamaham priyatma sutascha Sakha guru shurdho devyam ishtam Nakari chinmat parashanta rupe Nakshanti no me nimishole dihiti Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha Shakha guru shurto devyam ishtam Nakari chinmat parashanta rupe Nakshanti no me nimishole dihiti Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru surdho devyam mistam Nakari chinmat parashanta rupe Nakshanti no me nimishole dihiti Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha Shakha guru shurdo devamistam. Okay. Na, not. Karichit, eva, matpara, my devotees. Shantarupe, O mother. Nakshanti, will lose. No, not. Me, my. Animisha, time. Ledi, destroys. Heti, weapon. Yesham, of whom. Aham, I. Priya, dear. Atma, self. Sutta, son. Cha, and. Sakha, friend. Guru, preceptor. Shurdha, benefactor. Devyam, deity. Ishtam, chosen. Okay, so we've got the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, the translation, the Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. So we can repeat. The Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. Okay, so it's going to be a long purport. But let's start. So it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahmaloka, by dint of pious activities. But when the effects of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to earth to begin a new life of activities. Thus, even though one is promoted to the higher planetary system for enjoyment and a long duration of life, still that is not permanent settlement. But as far as the devotees are concerned, their assets. So here we know what the devotees' assets are. It's written down here in the purport. As far as the devotees are concerned, their assets, and these assets are the achievement of devotional service and the consequent opulences of Vaikuntha, even on this planet, are never destroyed. In this verse, Kapil Dev addresses his mother as Shantarupa, indicating that the opulences of devotees are fixed because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Shantarupa, because it is in the mode of pure goodness, undisturbed by the modes of passion and ignorance. So, once one is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed. So, if you are wondering whatever service you've been doing, what's the consequence of it, or what's going to happen to it, it's written right here, it's never going to be destroyed. Whatever results you get, whatever opulences you get as a result of whatever service you've been doing, even the tiniest of services, cannot be destroyed. And the pleasure and service simply increase unlimitedly. For the devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness, in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time. So, in the material world, the influence of time destroys everything. But in Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time or of the demigods, because there are no demigods in Vaikuntha planets. That's true. Demigods only have rights and authorities as far as our planets are concerned, the material planets. They will not be able to influence anybody in the Vaikuntha planets. Their services are not required for Vaikuntha planets. Now, Vaikuntha planets are where Lord Krishna in various forms resides, Lord Vishnu in different forms. And the devotees who go to Vaikuntha planet, they don't have to be ruled by anything. Any demigod. They don't have to be under the authority of any of the demigods. And then there is no influence of time there either, because time destroys, Krishna says, time I am. So time destroys everything. But there is no time there in Vaikuntha. There is no influence of time. So those are the two factors that we see or we learn from this purport. There's no, in the Vaikuntha planets, there's no time influence, and there are no demigods to control everything that's happening there. So here our activities are controlled by different demigods. Like we just discussed, here our activities are controlled by different demigods. Even if we move our hand and leg, the action is controlled by demigods. They are like 33 million demigods. And for everything, every little thing, there is a demigod. Even for moving my hand and legs, there is a demigod for that. And they control everything. So, you just imagine how much power the demigods have over us. We never really think about it consciously. So the action is controlled by demigods. But in Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of demigods or of time. Therefore, there is no question of destruction. Yeah. When the time element is present, there is certainty of destruction. But when there is no time element, past, present, or future, then everything is eternal. Therefore, this verse uses the words na nakshanti, indicating that the transcendental opulences can never be destroyed. So here, if you are wondering what is eternal life and what's the nature of eternal life, we are given some indication over here. Eternal life is where there is no such thing as destruction, no such thing as time, no such thing as demigods, influences. So the reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Lord as the most dear personality and reciprocate with him in different relationships. They accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the dearmost friend, dearmost relative, dearmost son, dearmost preceptor, and the dearmost well-wisher, or the dearmost deity. So if you have, lots of affection for the deity here, Radha Gopinath, that is considered to be a reciprocation and acceptance of Krishna. So it's good to even have a lot of affection for Radha Gopinath. That is accepted here as one of the reciprocation in different relationships. So the Lord is eternal. Therefore, any relationship in which we accept him is also eternal. It is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. That's nice. So if you ever accept Lord Krishna as your guru, which he is the Chaitya guru within you, that relationship is never destroyed. Say, like for example, Arjun had said to Krishna that I'm accepting you as my guru, even though Arjun was his cousin and friend. But when the Mahabharata, the battle of the Mahabharata started, Arjun was confused, and he accepted Lord Krishna as his guru. That relationship is never destroyed. So whichever relationship you appear to be, with Krishna, that is preserved always, eternally. So that's quite nice. So it is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. Every living entity has the propensity to love someone. We can see that if someone has no object of love, this is also true, and my guru speaks about this often. We can see that if someone has no object of love, he generally directs his love to a pet, like an animal, like a cat or a dog. So everybody has a need to love someone or something. And generally, if they don't have anyone, they get a cat or a dog. Thus, the eternal propensity for love in all living entities is always searching for a place to reside. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a preceptor, or as a well-wisher, and there will be no cheating and no end to such love, which is nice. There's no cheating and no end to such love. We shall eternally enjoy the relationship with the Supreme Lord in different aspects. A special feature of this verse is the acceptance of the Supreme Lord as a supreme preceptor. Yeah, that's true. Right now, Devahuti is, what's the relationship that Devahuti has with the Lord right now, Kapil Dev? Mother, yeah. She's the mother. And he's her son. That's the relationship. But she has changed it a little bit because she needed some enlightenment. So then what does the relationship become? Yes, a disciple and a guru. So you can switch a little bit relationships. In fact, Krishna, if you really look at it, he has basically all relationships are inclusive, because he is also your friend. He's also like a son. He's also like a parent, because he looks after you, he nurtures you, maintains you. He's also like a guru. So there's so many aspects to our relationship with Krishna, and when you really look at it, it's got a little bit of everything in it, every little bit of everything. So here, Devahuti is looking upon Krishna, Kapil Dev, as a preceptor. And so where were we? We eternally enjoy. Special feature of this verse is the acceptance of Supreme Lord as the Supreme Preceptor. Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord, and Arjun accepted Krishna as Guru or spiritual master. Similarly, we should accept only Krishna as the supreme spiritual master. So here it is just, we were just talking about Arjun. Yes. Preceptor, it means someone who guides you, and it's just like a guru. That's what my understanding. I mean, I could look up the exact meaning on my phone, which is here somewhere, and give you the exact meaning of preceptor. Yeah, it's a little bit like a guru, but I'll look at preceptor. Yes, a teacher or instructor. That's what it is, the actual teacher or instructor. So, which is what Devahuti is looking at Krishna for. She's looking at him in terms of a teacher, an instructor, and she said, please instruct me. So Krishna, of course, means Krishna and his confidential devotees. Krishna is not alone. So when we speak of Krishna, Krishna means Krishna in his name, in his form, in his qualities, in his abode, and in his associates. So here, in this particular line, we can see if we accept Krishna, Krishna's associates, as someone, close to us for guidance, that is acceptable. If we accept Krishna in his name, acceptable. In his form, also acceptable. In his qualities, also acceptable. In his abode, acceptable. Everything about Krishna, every aspect of Krishna. Krishna is never alone, for the devotees of Krishna are not impersonalists. For example, a king is always associated with his secretary, his commander, his servant, and so much paraphernalia. So as soon as we accept Krishna and his associates as our preceptors, no ill effects can destroy our knowledge. So right now we are taking knowledge from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And within the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are taking knowledge from the teachings of Kapil Dev as well. So we have, and none of those, that knowledge can be destroyed if we accept that, because it's directly from Krishna. That's what it's saying. So actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam comes from different kinds of teachings. Later on, we might have some teachings like from Kunti Devi will be incorporated in this Srimad Bhagavatam. And also, there are prayers, very nice prayers offered by the devotees of Lord Krishna. Later on, we'll read about the prayers offered by the Nagapatnis, the wives of Kaliya, the serpent. They present wonderful prayers to Krishna, which we can take as guidance. There's a story about Narad Muni, and how he offers his prayers. And then there's Lord Brahma, when he becomes really humble or chastised by Krishna, and then he offers his prayers. So there are many different types of teachings in the Srimad Bhagavatam, including the ones that we get from Sukadev Goswami. So none of that knowledge that we accept is going to be destroyed, and they're totally all acceptable because they are all Krishna's associates, Krishna's devotees. So we can accept any one of those. So in the material world, the knowledge which we acquire may change because of the influence of time. But nevertheless, the conclusions received from Bhagavad Gita directly from the speeches of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, can never change. There is no use interpreting Bhagavad Gita. It is eternal, which is really wonderful. So it's true, material knowledge changes from time to time. I mean, when I was in university, we'd have editions of the same book, the textbook. And they chop and change every time. So knowledge from one year to the next year is weird. We have to adjust our knowledge to somebody else's perception of material knowledge. They'll say, well, this textbook, latest edition. So we have to change our textbooks all the time. But Bhagavad Gita, no. That's why Srila Prabhupada actually interpreted Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it can never change. It is eternal. So Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should be accepted as one's best friend, which we all know. He will never cheat. Although he says in the Bhagavad Gita, he's a king of all cheats. He's a cheat of all cheats. But he never cheats his devotees. That's the point. He never cheats his devotees. Even though the cheating propensity comes from him, he will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. Now, the protection aspect is also there. So, if we look upon Lord Krishna as the protector, that is also a bonus point. And that is why we actually have a lot of devotees who are Lord Nrsimhadev devotees. Because Krishna in the form of Lord Nrsimha, Lakshmi Nrsimha, is really the best protection you can ever get. So, and that's why we have devotees always singing Syamapriya at the end of every arti. I might have some time to read a little bit about what Prahlad Maharaj says in terms of his relationship with Krishna. Because Prahlad Maharaj not only is his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj is someone who is protected by Nrsimhadev. So the relationship there becomes one of protection. So he offers this kind of protection to devotees. Not only his friendly advice, but friendly protection to the devotee. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. That is true. A parent, if you are a parent, if you're a father or a mother, and you have a child, you'll never want your child to ever die. That's the most painful, I think that's probably the most painful emotion anyone can ever go through if they lose their child. So they always want their child to live. And if you accept Krishna as a son, he will never die. So here we have a very loving son or child, but the father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, may my son not die. But Krishna actually will never die. He is always there, always has been and always will be. So therefore, those who accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, as their son, will never be bereft of their son. In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as a son. Now that's interesting. If you have a deity at home, and if you're worshipping your deity, there's a certain there's a certain relationship. If you ask the person who's dealing with the deity in such a way, there's a very nice story about. There's a very nice story. I'll speak so to give us a break, because the reading can get a little bit boring sometimes. So. There's a story in the Chaitanya Charimrita about a devotee and his son, and the father, I have to think of those names now, but anyway, the father offers prasadam or bhoga. Yes. So prasadam to the deity and instructs his son, I'm going away somewhere, and give this bhoga to the deity. And the son, forces Krishna, you come down from wherever you are and you eat it. And Krishna does, because that's the relationship. So deities actually reciprocate in such a way. And the father came and said, where is the prasadam? He said, well, Krishna ate it all. There's no prasadam there. And the father couldn't believe it. So then the father the next day actually said, okay, you offer this in front of me, so I get the proof. And sure enough, Krishna comes out of the altar and he literally eats the bhoga. That should be how we worship the deities, in such devotion, in such conviction, with such faith. But I was going to talk about this. Suppose you don't have a deity, because not everyone's got a deity, and not everybody can perform the same kind of worship. So it's mentioned. I wonder if it's in here in this purport. No, it's not. But one can actually worship Krishna in a mental form, and Krishna will actually accept that. And there was this story, this interesting story, because there are some very well-trained pujaris who will follow all these procedures, and which is correct, and they will have the right ingredients, the right paraphernalia, and the right type of cleanliness standards. Everything is there, and then they worship the deities in such a way. But this particular Brahman, he didn't have access to this methods, and he was not really in a position to physically worship the deity. So someone told him then, you can mentally do these things. And so he watches the actual pujaris and the Brahmins, how they do this worship. And they tell him, you get this paraphernalia, you cook it in this way, you recite these mantras, you place the deity here, and this is how you worship. So this Brahman would go and take his bath in the Ganga, and then mentally he would collect the ingredients. Mentally he would get the paraphernalias, and and mentally he would prepare the food preparations, and then mentally he would get the utensils of gold with really lots of opulences, and then mentally he would perform the worship of the deities, everything mentally, and he would do that for years. And so what was the result? One day this Brahman, you might know this story, but one day this Brahman said, he made some kheer, some sweet rice with some ghee. He made some sweet rice with some ghee, and he thought, I've given this kheer, sweet rice, to Krishna, but it's too hot. Mentally he's thinking it's too hot. So mentally he puts his finger in the kheer to check out the temperature, and literally his finger gets burnt. And he looks and he sees that his finger is burnt. So that, we can actually learn from that. Because yesterday we were having Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day, right? And it's probably everybody's tired today, and so am I, really tired. So the Abhishek was going on, and we couldn't all get to do the Abhishek, or we couldn't all get to the altar near the flowers. The flowers were protected yesterday. So in that state, you can actually mentally offer the Abhishekam, and it's perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable, 100%. And I actually had that experience myself. Because once the Abhishek was going on, it was Radha Ashtami, and I was sitting here in the crowd, and it was really, really crowded. So I thought, can't get near Srimati Radharani today. so many people, and there's hardly room to breathe, let alone get near Hare Krishna, let alone get near the altar. So mentally I was thinking, okay, Srimati Radharani, here's Abhishek, for you. And mentally. And the message I got instantly was, Radharani said, the Abhishek is too cold, I'm cold. I need it warm. So in the mentally, I gave her some warm water. So you can actually do that too. Just like this Brahman, he made this kheer and offered to the deities. And after that experience, Lakshmi Devi was watching Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu sent his associates to go and get the Brahman, and he had an eternal abode in the Vaikuntha planets for mentally worshipping Krishna in this way. And So anyway, after my particular experiences, I never really worried about not going on the altar because I'm at work and I can't offer any deity artis or dressings or even the abhishek, whatever it is. You can mentally offer them wherever you are. And another perfect example that I can give you is about this Mataji. She's a Prabhupada disciple, and she was quite advanced in age. She used to worship the deities at Krishna Kalia temple in Fiji, and there wasn't a single day when she wasn't there. She was actually one of the pioneers, and she was responsible for actually building the temple. So she's very senior and quite pious lady. She used to chant daily. By the time she reached, like matured age, about 108 rounds every day. And so she used to, become bedridden. In the end, she became bedridden, and then we used to go and see her. And she said, "Oh, I've never leave the altar. I'm still there. I'm still making garlands. I'm still giving, garlands to Krishna. I'm still cooking for him." Such a pious lady, 108 rounds she chants, and mentally she serves Krishna Kalya. So she said, "I'm never separate from, never." Gauri Mataji, Gauri Mataji, and very pious. And she was the one who actually used to take some instructions from her because I thought she's really highly elevated. So what she did tell me is that I can share with you all. She said, the Krishna that we are all looking for, we go to Tirath, we go to the temple, we go here, we go there. The one that we are always looking for, really, he's there, he's been there in the heart all the time. You don't really have to go anywhere. So she was successful. From that, I could understand that she was 100% successful in connecting with the Paramatma within. She knew the secret. And in one of the classes, we had this Vaishnavi Sangha just a couple of weeks ago. And in the Vaishnavi Sangha, we listened to Srila Prabhupada's classes. So in that class, Srila Prabhupada had said, and I told the Vaishnavis, I'm going to use this in my class one day. So I'm using this today. In Srila Prabhupada had said in his classes that the best way to do devotional service is to connect with the Paramatma within, meditate on the Paramatma. That's the super soul. That's the best one. Because then you don't have to look for Krishna anywhere, he's with you all the time. And he's the super soul. You connect with him and he reciprocates with you from within. So this is what Gauri Mataji had told me also. And she was successful in this particular stage and platform. She was connected with the Paramatma, the soul, the Krishna within. You don't even have to go anywhere to look for him. And then he becomes your Chaitya Guru, your Guru within. He becomes your best friend. He becomes everything, your son, your father, and your most confidential, associate. So we'll continue. This is a very long purport. So let's see. Where were we? In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as the son. In Bengal, there are many such instances that even after the death, this is a very interesting one. Even after the death of the devotee, the deity performs Shraddha ceremony for the father. So, if I were to die and I didn't have a son to do my funeral rites, my deity, according to this, might be able to do the Shraddha, because the deity here, it says here that in Bengal there are many such instances that even after the death of a devotee, the deity performs Shraddha ceremony for the father. So my deities would be able to, according to this. I never thought of it before, but it's written here in black and white. Haridas Thakur, yeah, he did that for Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur left his body, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually danced with him in his arms. Imagine that, having the Lord pick you up and dance with you. So he did all the rites. So actually, it's not uncommon because even in any other particular ceremonies, we include our deities. Like this, for example, a marriage ceremony, the couple would place their deities there near the, yagna, fire, something. You'll see the deity, the home deities will be placed there for the marriage. Or so in this instance, I can see, I had never thought of the death one, but here it is written that the deity can perform Shraddha. So the relationship is never destroyed. People are accustomed to worship different forms of demigods, but in the Bhagavad Gita, such a mentality is condemned. Okay. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different forms, such as Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, and Radha Krishna. Thus, one will never be cheated. By worshipping the demigods, one may elevate himself to the higher planets, but during the dissolution of the material world, the deity and the abode of the deity will be destroyed. But one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that time influence cannot act upon devotees. There you go. Time cannot affect you if you are a devotee. The conclusion is that time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as everything. So that's quite good. You have some benefits, some VIP benefits, as opposed to somebody who is non-devotee. First of all, your opulences don't get destroyed. What is your opulences? The opulences is all the results of your devotional service, including those that you enjoy in the Vaikuntha planets. But really, the most precious asset of a devotee is devotional service itself and the relationship with Krishna. That is never destroyed. Whatever relationship you have with Krishna, that is fixed, not destructible, and that is the main opulence of a devotee. Main asset of a devotee is your relationship with Krishna in devotional service. So that ends the class and the purport. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. Yeah.
All our activities are controlled by different demigods.
Right.
I was just thinking Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka, from the 18th chapter, 18
Yeah.
14 rather.
Yeah.
It says that there are 5 factors of action activities.
Yes.
Any activity that should be performed.
Yes.
These are the 5 factors which actually determine. So I was actually just wondering if I may read the shloka. Translation: the place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul.
Yes.
These are the 5 factors of action.
Right.
Basically, 18th chapter is saying that these are the ones which actually perform. Prabhupada gave an example of lift hand to hold anything. So just wondering, how is that related to the actions of the demigods?
Demigods. Okay, so the question is, in here, the purport is explaining that all our actions are ruled or ruled by demigods. So even moving a hand or a leg. But in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18.14, right? It says the 5 actions are used for devotional service. So how are the demigods connected to that, right? So basically a devotee uses, if they are a true devotee, they use all their senses and apply it to all their senses and all their actions, body, mind, spirit, soul, everything, to Lord Krishna. And one example was Ambarish Maharaj. It's written in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he's always thinking of Krishna. He only wants to hear about Lord Krishna. He only wants to speak of Lord Krishna. He only wants to eat the food stuff that's offered to Krishna. Everything to Krishna. So then how are the demigods, once you become a devotee, it is clearly stated here in this purport today that you are no longer under time influence, and the opulences that you enjoy in Vaikunth planets is not destroyed, and there are no demigods in the Vaikunth planets. In other words, demigods don't control the actions of the devotees in the Vaikunth planets. If you become a devotee here, it is stated here in the purport that even in this planet, in this material planet, if you devote your actions to Lord Krishna, you're no longer under the rule of the demigods, because you are enjoying the opulences as you would in the Vaikunth planets. So you are no longer affected by time, although practically speaking, yes, because we will dwindle, we will die in time. Time will destroy our body, but our devotional service and the opulences we enjoy is not affected or dictated by demigods anymore. No more. So that is one way of really sidestepping the interferences of demigods. However, in our classes, our spiritual masters, acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada, they also always request devotees or anyone to actually respect the demigods, offer our respects, even though they're not God, and always ask for the blessing that we may become Vaishnavas. For example, if somebody is suffering and they are worshipping Lord Ganesha, he's a demigod. Lord Ganesha will be able to remove the obstacles that is preventing one from devotional service or to becoming Krishna consciousness. So we could look upon the demigods and pray to them so that we can become devotees. They do have the benediction. They can give us the blessings or remove any obstacles that is causing us to not be devotees. There are some restrictions. So, but basically to answer your questions, the actions of a devotee is no longer a pure devotee. A pure devotee is no longer under the dictatorship of demigods, even in these material planets. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so thank you for listening. Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai.